Hi, this is Mike from Dimensional Walking, and today we're going to do part three. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to do part two, actually. We'll do part two before we do part three. But, anyways, this one's going to be also called UFOs, Aliens, and its Religious Leaders. Okay? So, part one was on Daniel Fry. Okay, so you can, I'll put it in the description, I'll put the link in the description so you can learn a little about Daniel Fry, who is actually a follower of this next gentleman we're going to talk about. Okay? So, in this part, we're going to talk about George Van Tassel. Okay? And he was a contactee, he was a ufologist, and he was a paranormal researcher. And he was born in Jefferson, Ohio in 1910. Okay? He dropped out of high school, got his pilot's license, and moved to California. Okay? He worked with his uncle as a auto mechanic and befriended a loner named Krit Czar. Okay? And he was had a pretty interesting story himself. He had been a prospector. He was prospecting for gold in Landers, California. And while he was prospecting, he came across this amazing, huge, freestanding rock. And some people believe it may be one of the largest in the world. It very well could be. I've seen pictures of it. I don't have a picture to show you, but it's like 7 stories high, and it's probably equal on the ground to like 6,000 square feet of ground space. So after this guy that saw or sort of discovered this rock died, George went ahead, Tassel, and he went ahead and he leased the land right next to the rock. I guess giving him rights to the rock, I guess, is the way the story goes. And he built his home there, a cafe, an airstrip, and a dude ranch. So he kind of made it into an attraction. Okay? So, George would meditate by this particular rock. And one day something did happen after days and days of meditation. And I will tell you something, if you go ahead and you have a purpose or something in mind and you go ahead and meditate, eventually something will probably positively happen. Okay? There's no doubt in my mind. It's happened to me several times, although it didn't have anything to do with like this George. Okay? Anyway, so he got a visit. George got a visit right by the giant rock from, he claims, the Council of Seven Lights. Okay? And he claims that they were very friendly. They were from Venus. And they suggested that he could build, and they would tell him how to build this, a device that would extend human life for several years. Okay? So, George spent the next 25 years of his life building this device. And let's see, he called this an Intermegatron was what the name was. And he spent all this time. And it was a dome-shaped structure. Wooden. It's a wooden structure, too. It's very important. It had to be wooden. And but what happened was George died, and some people say sarcastically, the not so ripe old age of 68. Now you would expect it with a guy building this device that was going to make him and everybody else that walked in it or stood in it or meditated in it younger or stay young anyways. That he would have probably lived past 68, but he didn't. Okay. And many people that visited said, "Oh, I knew a couple of people that were in it." I think you can still go there actually and meditate in this structure. They said there were some really cool feelings. They can't really say they got any younger, etc. So a lot of people came away saying, something just doesn't seem quite right here. Okay. So I've done a lot of research on different rejuvenating things and vitamins and all kinds of stuff like that, and for 98 years old, I don't look too bad or feel too bad, you know. So maybe some of that stuff helped. I don't really know. But anyways, there's people that said something very similar to what I'm going to tell you. You know, I believe there was something that they were missing, and I believe it's kind of a Merkaba effect. If you know anything about the Merkaba, and I'm not going to give you all the detail of it here. In fact, it's something that if you know how to move the Merkaba in a certain way, I don't know so much about the regeneration of it, but it can be a time traveling device. Okay, and that I know for a fact. But anyways, a Merkaba, if they would rotate, do some type of Merkaba thing inside the structure, or a Merkaba rotation, I think maybe this really was a real thing. Okay, I don't think they ever got that far, but I did read people that had that same feeling that I just told you about, this Merkaba reverse effect. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. George was credited for the term channeling. He wanted to distinguish this type of communication from a medium. George said that his communication was something like a tensor beam, I guess like a television, with different channels and different frequencies. One of George's first uses of channeling was he made contact with Ashtar. And Ashtar, of course, is a very famous entity. Other people have channeled this person, this being. And anyways, one of the things that Ashtar told George was that we should stop messing around with trying to split the hydrogen atom. Okay. The entity said, Ashtar said that the hydrogen is the giver of life on this planet, and that if we would go and split the hydrogen atom, the atomic bomb, we could very well destroy all of Earth into very tiny subparticles, basically vaporizing us. So that was one of the messages that George heard and was very, very concerned of. So with that happy thought in mind, let me just tell you what else George did before he died. He formed two groups. One is called the Ministry of Universal Wisdom, and the other group is called the College of Universal Wisdom. And I think there is still groups involved with one or both of these that I just mentioned to you. So if you're interested, if I spurred up your interest, you may want to look those up. So have these warnings from another dimension been heard? George tried, and there was another George, another follower of Tassel, and his name was George Adamsky. And he is probably one of the most famous of all these people that I've been talking about. And so he would go, again, like Daniel Fry, and would attend these yearly gatherings at the Giant Rock Convention. And more on George Adamsky in the future. I'll maybe do a part 3, because I think George Adamsky, of all of them, is probably one of the most interesting of all. So, final thought. We all need to get close to the earth, close to the ground, and listen. So, with that said, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.